Good evening, everyone. The Juneteenth Board and Committee would like to welcome you to our encore performance. This evening, we have performances by the Black Renaissance. We welcome you to the evening portion and hope you will sit back and enjoy. For those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do know, let me remind you, Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration commemorating the ending of slavery. In 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, freeing the slaves in the United States. Only Texas didn't know about the freeing of the slaves in the United States, so in 1865, June 19th to be exact, the celebration began because General Granger rode into Texas and told the slaves that they were free. And hence, they ran out in the streets and dropped all their hoes and their picks and had a celebration. And so, therefore, we celebrate Juneteenth. We are celebrating 156 years of the Juneteenth celebration. Tucson is celebrating its 50th/51st because we didn't have Juneteenth last year because of COVID. We are celebrating now. So we ask that you just sit back and enjoy the performances, and we thank Black Renaissance for partnering with Juneteenth.
What up, you guys? I am Sean Louis. I am so excited to be here for the Juneteenth Festival's 50th year anniversary. What we're about to happen right now is really cool performances, amazing artists, amazing music videos. So sit back, relax, and have a good time as we show you exactly what we do for Black Renaissance as we tie in Juneteenth Festival 50th year anniversary celebration.
First up is Brina, founder of BeFit, interviewed by Morgan Turner.
All right, Morgan here again, and I'm here with
Brina, or you can call me Bree.
All right, Bree. So tell us about Black Girls Fitness, BeFit, and how you got started up with it.
Yeah, so I started BeFit in 2019 at the university while I was a master's student. So I came to University of Arizona actually as a student athlete. I was a track athlete. I ran for University of Nebraska, transferred to University of Arizona. And so once I graduated, I realized that I needed to find my own community that was separate from my identity as an athlete. So basically, I would start frequenting the cultural centers. I would go to the Martin Luther King Center a lot, which is where the African American Student Affairs Center is, right? I think something like that. And so basically, a lot of the Black women there, they would always express that, hey, like, I want to work out with you. What do you do? And they're just asking me just different fitness-minded questions. So from there, me and a couple of other girls said, hey, it would be really cool if we can just start maybe like a group chat or some type of support group for Black women who want to just go to the recreation center. As you guys might imagine, being the sort of 3% on campus, there's not many people there. And something unique about the University of Arizona is that half of that sort of 3%, a lot of them are athletes. And so that leaves, you know, a lot of these Black women here, we come from a lot of different places, different ethnic groups, different cultural backgrounds, even though we are Black women. And so there's just not many spaces where we can get to meet each other and actually see each other. So I figured, hey, all these girls are interested in fitness, all these girls, like, you know, from different places, different walks of life. Why don't we just start a club and blend sort of the social and meeting each other with fitness. Because something else unique to the Black community is that Black women, what I want to say, like 3/4 of us are overweight or obese or have some type of health-related complication. So let's do this. Let's change the culture of it. Let's introduce a lot of girls. Let's bring them in with the sort of social team-like atmosphere like I experienced as a student athlete. And let's introduce them to fitness, have them try different things. So 2019, that's how it got started. Started off as the idea for sort of a group chat, support group, turned into a full-fledged entity because I'm extra. And so I wanted us to have merchandise, I wanted us to have branding, I wanted us to have an identity, a website, that sort of thing. And so basically, that's how it got started. It started off, just sort of snowballed into this full-fledged organization. We've had over 100 different girls over the past 2.5 years come through the club. Currently we have, I want to say 15 to 20 active girls, either in person or virtually, and we just do different stuff. During the week we meet at the gym and we work out together, just sort of like any type of gym meet up like you would do with your friends at a Planet Fitness or a EOS. And then on the weekends, the club pays for the girls to do a group activity that's something different. Every week we try to do something different. We've done kickboxing, we've done Krav Maga, we've done hiking, we've done parkour. Just yesterday we did a parkour class. So it's just really to expose the girls to something they may not have tried on their own, maybe couldn't have afforded on their own, or just something to try that's new with friends. So.
And for those who don't know, tell us what's parkour?
Parkour is basically this sort of like, I want to say it's a blend between like sort of free running and martial arts and gymnastics. And what we learned yesterday is like, it's a lot of acrobatics to it. And so what you'll see is people who are like stunt people, and it's its own freestanding sport as well, like where people they'll jump from the buildings and they'll scale walls. There's just different movements that they'll do. And usually I think it's like under a certain time or whatever the case may be, or difficulty of the skill. So we just learned very, very basics what goes into parkour, and it was really fun. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's neat. I think that's awesome that you're doing this too, because it's forming that, expanding and forming that sense of community and vulnerability. I mean, working out and stuff like that. Like
vulnerability.
Yeah, you're being vulnerable. Like you you have people that come in there maybe like timid and just like, or like have insecurities about their body or whatever, and like just having that sisterhood. So with you creating these spaces, like what does Juneteenth mean to you? Like how important would you say Juneteenth is to you, and like why would it be important to like people? Why should it be important? Why should Juneteenth be important?
Well, just understanding what Juneteenth is, I feel like is important for African Americans to know our history, like where we've been, so we can have a better understanding of where we can go from there. So definitely, I feel like the concept of Juneteenth and having that sense of togetherness, because in the Black community, having just remembering these times, the things that we've gone through, and sort of having these celebrations for them, that's just so unique to the Black community. And so I feel like I love the fact that, there is, the different Juneteenth activities and festivals going on here in Tucson, being that there is a rich African-American history here. A lot of us don't know about it because we're so few. Yeah. We're so few, and it seems like so many people are always just trying to get out. And so, but for the ones here, just creating that sense of community, and just like, just having these spaces that are really, are just really important, I feel like, for us. And so for me, how I can tie that into BFIT is just like, it's sort of the same thing, just always trying to create that sense of community. Because, there's so many different separate groups of African Americans here in the Tucson community. A lot of us come, from military family, or the students, or just even when they come separately, or the people who've been here for a long time. The Dunbar is a very historic place in Tucson for African Americans. And so I just really like that with different Juneteenth festivals going on in Tucson, it can bring a lot of these different groups of African Americans together, for sure.
And so is your social club, is it open to people? Like, can people just join it? Do they have to wait a time, is there an opening period? Like, how does that work?
So currently BFIT is for students, just in different capacities. And so I'm a graduate student myself, and so it's for anyone who is, I want to say student, staff, or faculty, basically. We haven't really had any faculty, but in general, like, if you're at the U of A, that's who it is for. However, I am graduating, finally. I started the club when I was starting my master's degree at the University of Arizona, UA South technically. And so now that I'm graduating, I've been thinking about putting that time and that effort into thinking about expanding. Before, it was just more like of a timing thing, and at the time, it was working for what it was, and it really was creating a space for those girls on campus. But now that I'm older, I'm graduating, and I've had the time, and the group is gone, and it's able to run on its own. I'll be able to really think about expanding and including maybe students at PIMA, or former members of BFIT, and just women in the community. And so I'll definitely have time to think about how I can incorporate BFIT into the community.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah, that's. I think that'll be great, and I think that people will be interested too. Like, for sure. People wanting to get on board and be active, and like I said, it's a plus. It's a win-win. You have, all right, I'm being active, also forming that sisterhood and having that community. So do you feel like free within your with what you do? Does that, like working out, does that set you free? Like, do you feel good when you're doing it, and when you're creating this? Like, are you free within yourself? Do you feel free?
Absolutely. I've been a part of athletics darn near all my life. And it's definitely saved me in so many different capacities. I started running track when I was 9 years old. And from there, just like being a really shy child, very introverted, and just sport and fitness has really brought me out of that shell. And I just love to see that to be something that can be done with other people as well, especially Black women. You know, like we have so many different things against us. People are always like using a paintbrush to just paint us as something different, angry, ugly, masculine, whatever the case may be. And so just being in fitness, there's so many times where, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm depressed. I don't like this about myself. But when I go and I perform, when I'm working out, when I'm on a team, when I'm doing what I can do and I'm doing it really good, I'm just in my own world, and that's the place where I can just escape from everything. Not to mention in my family, there's a lot of hypertension, obesity, and high blood pressure, all these different things, and I've never had those issues because of, you know, my fitness. Not necessarily how I look, but more so just the health that I have inside just from being an in-shape person. And so, especially for Black women, I want that for everybody. And like just from experience, you know, having that and having it be the outlet and knowing that when I was at my lowest is when I wasn't active, I just, you know, want to encourage other women, especially Black women, to be able to find that solace and find, you know, that freedom in exercise and fitness for sure.
Yeah. I was actually gonna ask you, like, what inspires you besides like being like, you know, you've been an athlete for all this time. Like, what you saying you tied it to your family, like saying that it was like the family stuff. You want to expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like like a lot of people, like a lot of African Americans families, like you have a lot of the older generation who are sort of trying to live vicariously through the younger ones or the more talented, and that was me for sure. My family's always been super supportive. But they've always just been supportive in sense of just doing that and living vicariously through me, and I've always wanted them to be a part of that as well. And so definitely they've always just supported me and pushed me, and now that I'm older, now that I'm more knowledgeable, now that I have more resources, it's the next step is really trying to not only push people in my family, but, you know, other women around me to do the same, because it's not just about being an athlete. I was an athlete, and yeah, it was good, but part of that was just that intrinsic motivation to just be better and always be pushing to, you know, just feel better about myself. And so just to have that and just to find something in you to where it's like I'm working towards something, you know, that helps with your mental health, that helps with your physical health. And so just always trying to help women, like, hey, like, I know you don't like to do this, but maybe you like to do this. I know you don't like to, you know, lift weights, maybe you like to dance, maybe you like to, you know, maybe you like boxing, maybe you like all these different things. And so that's where BFit comes into play, where I started weightlifting from BFit. We did a class, a weightlifting class at a gym to try to help us figure out how to lift properly when we are in the gym so we don't feel silly. From there, they sort of like, hey, you used to be an athlete, hey, come try weightlifting. Now I'm at the point where I have a meet in 2 weeks and I'm 1 kilo off of making it to national championship.
Let's go.
And so, you know, so just going from, hey, just trying something new to finding something where it's like, oh, hey, I really like this. It helps me stay active, helps me stay motivated, and I'm working towards something. And so that's just something I just really want to be contagious, and I just really want to show women, like, you know, there's different ways to be active, and this just being active is just so important to our health, our mental health, and physical health.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. And I guess the last question I'll ask you is, what's a myth that you want to debunk about fitness and Black women in fitness?
Oh my God, there's so many things, but I'll go over a couple. The first one that I've struggled all my life, just being a naturally very petite and skinny person with not a lot of body fat, is Black women are masculine, and that's tied to our appearance on some sort, or that's tied to our physical capabilities, like, you know, me being able to lift a lot of weight, you being able to see my muscles and always being tied to masculine, even though I'm a very girly person, that's really frustrating. And so it took me a long time to separate what I do and how I look from the concept of masculinity. Because there's nothing wrong with being masculine, but it's just a matter of you're tying what I'm doing and you're telling me that I'm something that I don't feel. And so just that myth of always tying, oh, you know, the way that you look and having those muscles, because that's a barrier that a lot of Black women have with working out. They feel like they're gonna look like Serena Williams. They're gonna look like, you know, those women who have the bigger muscles and having that sort of negative connotation to it, saying that's masculine, that's ugly, I don't feel pretty, I don't feel feminine. So that's definitely one thing I just want to get out, and I just love our group and how not only with each other, but to other women when they look at us, to men, to, you know, to non-black people, when they see us and they say, oh wow, like those girls are feminine and they have muscles. And that's okay, whether you want to look like that or you don't. And you know, there's women who are doing these really awesome things. There's girls who do MMA in our group, and you know, and so it's just like, it's okay to do that. And so just debunking the myth between, you know, you lifting any sort of weight and you being really muscular, and the myth of you being muscular means that you're masculine.
Yeah, or associated with men, because actually masculinity and femininity are energies. You know what I mean? It's not, you don't have to be like a male or you know. Yeah.
So just getting out of these boxes and just really doing what makes you feel good, and you having your own fitness goals for yourself. You having your own, you know, what you want to look like, and you not shaming yourself or shaming other people for wanting to be a certain way, and just naturally just your body's going to look the way it's going to look. If you're doing what you want to do and you're working towards something, or you know, you're moving and you're staying active, your body's going to look the way it's going to look, and that confidence is going to come from within for sure.
Absolutely. Wow, it was wonderful talking to you, Bree. Tell the people how they can find you on social media and connect and see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So we are on Instagram at BFitUA, BFITUA, or you can go to our website at blackgirlsfitnessclub.com, or you can contact us at blackgirlsfitnessclub@gmail.com.
Awesome. All right, y'all stay in tune.
Okay, thank you.
We breaking generation cycles. No car washes for them hearses. Hopefully something come out these verses. I'm optimistic, not overnight. See, it took a minute. Now sit back and watch how we did it. Get it, now you go and get it. Don't let this thing of all see its demise. Find your balance, watch your malice. Mind your business, learn to compromise. You hand me scissors and we cutting ties. Learn to improvise, knew what it could be. Why you look surprised? I know you heard me, but you didn't listen. Now they scrolling on the gram, seeing what they missing, reminiscing. All I ask is that you keep your word and play your part. We let our actions do the speaking, we don't like to talk. Some don't have the patience that it takes, I understand. If I got it, you need it, you got it, you my man. Hope we live to see our dreams come true. When you do it out of love, that's that 10 squared too, you know.
I just wanna flex one time. I just wanna eat with mine. Low-key discreet, that's fine. But you gon' respect this grind. I just wanna flex one time. I just wanna eat with mine.
We flex different, baby.
Discreet, that's fine.
You know that.
But you gon' respect
where
this
they don't
grind.
count favors. Let's buy these acres, become neighbors. Grow a garden bigger than the medicine. That's sacred, don't that sound amazing? Feed ourselves. Gotta be focused on generational wealth. My nigga, do it yourself. It can't be done. Can you sacrifice a little fun? I swear these dreams is not for everyone. The marathon continue, gotta run. R.I.P. to Nipsey, not impossible. Tell a lot about a nigga from their mindset. That designer you just bought, that's a small flex. Hope you took that out of context. Imagine what you could have invested in with your comrades. That's not your fault though, it's the way that we condition. Dropped a couple gems in there, I know some gon' miss some. Feel like deja vu. When you do it out of love, that's that 10 squared too, you know.
I just wanna flex one time. I just wanna eat with mine. Low-key discreet, that's fine. But you gon' respect this grind. I just wanna flex one time. I just wanna eat with mine. Low-key discreet, that's fine. But you gon' respect this grind.
Check out this dope interview with Z Gibbs, co-founder of Takeover Media, interviewed by Morgan Turner.
My name is Morgan, and I'm here with
Z Give.
Z Give. All right. So, what do you do, Z Give? Like, what do you So for those who don't know, I know you were the co-founder of Takeover Media.
Yep.
And the Lounge Takeover.
Yep.
So how did you get going with that? Like,
oh man, so that's a loaded question, man. She asked me what did I do. I was like, a lot, a lot. I put on my Instagram bio, just a dude that does a lot and knows a little, and that's very true. But as far as Takeover Media and Takeover Lounge go, getting started with that was just a whirlwind of a story. So I'm a co-founder, so that means I have another founder alongside with me. His name's Rashid. We call him Shiki. And this was an idea in college, my first year at ASU. We went to these parties, these ASU parties, and everybody knows, hey, ASU is a party school. So we're like, aight, we'll see about that. So we went out to some of these parties, and we went to like 3, and it was just straight EDM music, which is, it's not my thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of white people in there, getting lit, whatever, and we just kind of felt like out of place. So then we came up with the idea of starting our own party scene, kind of just having parties, throwing parties, and we started with Takeover Productions because we loved the acronym TOP, because on top, Takeover Productions, TOP. And we were like, you know what, we're just gonna do that. My dad used to DJ back in the day, so we bought the equipment off him, and we're like, you know what, we're just gonna throw some banger parties, invite all the black folk out of ASU, the black community, and definitely just turn up. And that's what the idea was. And our first event was gonna be, it's called High Fashion. It was the first event we ever did up in Phoenix with the Dojo Creative Studios. And it was a flop. Our whole equipment just died on us. We had 2 amps that were powering our speakers that just died, and there was no music and there was no good vibes, and we were just like, oh my God, like this is our first ever event we threw and we blew it. And then COVID hit. I left the dorms, went back home to Tucson, and I was like, you know what? I don't even like partying like that, so why don't we try to make something more meaningful? And then Takeover Media was born with the idea of highlighting local musicians in the region, local creatives in the region, and giving them a platform to showcase their art and their music and their talents. So that's what happened with that. And then Takeover Lounge was something that I had always in my head. I always wanted to have my own show. And I got a little team together with Mankind, who's out here in Tucson, who kills it. I mean, older head, but he's definitely up in there doing his thing. And my co-host Daniela, she's awesome. We finally get it. It was just awesome how everything came together, and then we had that platform to bring artists in to talk about their journey as a creative.
Okay. Yeah. And so at ASU, did you study communication or what?
I like how you picked up on that. Yeah, I did. I did study. I was a human communication major, and it was partly I did that because I didn't need any math credits because I hate math. Everybody that's watching, I hate math. So if it's not adding money, I ain't gonna do it no more. But yeah, I was a human communication major. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I know you talked a little bit about like how you got going with TOP, and so who or what were your influencers?
Ooh, that's a great question. Big Boy TV, or Big Boy from the neighborhood on the LA show and stuff like that. Angie Martinez was a huge influence on me. Who else? I love Gary Vaynerchuk. He was definitely high-spirited, love his energy. Les Brown, motivational speaker, love hearing him speak. My dad put me on to him, and yeah, those are, I'd say, my top 4.
Yeah, so you kind of studied them.
Yep, exactly. Oh, and Sway. I can't forget about Sway. Sway in the morning. Love Sway. Love Sway. Sway and Tech. I tried to do a deep dive on Sway because the way he came up with Sway and Tech out in the Bay was just something I wanted to do. And of course, there was a different time period then where there wasn't social media and there was radio was the thing.
Yeah.
So I just tried to study that, and he doesn't talk about it much. It's hard to get Sway to sit down and interview an interviewer because they don't like to do that. But
exactly, that's why I was a little nervous with you. I was like, huh.
Exactly. So I was like, I'm gonna step out and try to do this. But yeah, Sway, I love Sway. Sway.
Okay, so you talked about social media and how that's a thing now. So I wanna ask you, has TikTok been has that impacted your content? Has it gotten you more viewers? How has that worked with your art?
TikTok is interesting because I don't post much about Takeover Media on my own personal TikTok. It's more me just being me and trying to have fun. I mean, my little sister's on it, so I try to get my little sister to do as much TikToks with me because one, she gets the views because she's a little light-skinned, awesome, beautiful smile, beautiful woman, and beautiful young lady. But yeah, I just love doing that with her because it's our bonding time. It's like, yo, let's do a video. She's always down. Oh yeah, let's do this. Okay. And that's what my TikTok is for. But as far as like in a general sense, I feel like people should put content on TikTok, whether it's the podcast, whether it's you just being goofy, whether it's just doing random dances. I mean, it's definitely a good spot. I remember in June, my business partner didn't want to use TikTok because they were shadow banning Black creatives, and they weren't really supportive. So that's when I hopped off because I was like, you're kind of right. And then something switched with the algorithm, and now, you know, I mean, we still run into some problems with that, but I mean, as far as it being shadow banned, I mean, not as much anymore. But,
Do you feel, so speaking on that, and freedom in your work, like what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Juneteenth, I mean, I was lucky enough to be here when Nick Arcade was speaking about what Juneteenth meant to him. And I'm in the same boat. He said he didn't learn much about it. Teachers didn't talk about Juneteenth, and especially in Tucson, where the Black population is like what, 7%, something crazy like that.
Not
8%.
even. Is it not even?
Is it? Fact check.
Yeah, it's like four or five, something.
Yeah. See, I was being generous.
I was like, we definitely working with that, but yeah.
So it was just like, I don't know what Juneteenth was until maybe last year, to be honest with you. And I felt robbed of that. You know what I mean? Like, I saw it on the calendar and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I don't know what that is. I didn't know it pertained to me. And maybe that's my lack of doing my own self-education with Black history and whatnot. But it's also just, who was gonna teach me this?
Yeah, it's very intentional.
Yeah.
It's very intentional. It's not like it was something that, you know, hey, like you said, it wasn't taught. It's like, hey, you know, it's something we have to like then get older and be like, oh,
yeah,
this is a part of me, and like you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Going back to find that connection. You know what I mean? So, do you feel free in your work, like in your?
Yeah, almost. I almost feel free. Like you said, free-ish would be the word that I would describe it as well. Only because I wish I could do Takeover Media full time, and right now, the way capitalism works is I gotta work a 9 to 5 just to pay for water and food, but I gotta make sure I'm also burning the candle on the other end, where I'm working from 9 to 5 to 6 to 12 or 6 to 3 and trying to make sure Takeover Media is what it is. And it's just like, I wish I could do one of these things and really be good at it.
Absolutely, because you're, you know, it's kind of hard for you to focus on your own work while you're also working for someone else at the same time, you know, like trying to find that balance. So,
yeah, and I know my pops is watching this, and he's my boss. So I work with his nonprofit organization. Pop, I love you, but you know what it is.
So you said your father was someone who inspires you.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
Can you elaborate a little more for me?
Let's do it. So yeah, my dad, I think it's awesome to be biracial and have a Black father in your life. And it's, people say it's rare, but I think people just don't talk about it a lot, that they had a father in their life. And I was blessed enough to have such a good role model and a good father figure in him. He just taught me a lot, man. He's a therapist, a preventionist as well. He has his own nonprofit called LPKNC that works primarily in the south side of Tucson, where I grew up, born and raised. And I was lucky enough to be able to be part of that process of him starting his own nonprofit. And it's just been 2 years now since he started his nonprofit. And he was working with Kodak Behavioral Health for 20 plus years, and because of budget cuts in like 2015 or something like that, they just got rid of his department, and it was like, yo, you gotta go. And he was like, oh, all right. You know, I thought I was gonna spend my whole, career here. But he decided to pivot and make his own nonprofit, and just seeing him like go through that struggle as an entrepreneur. And there was times where he was like, yeah, about Christmas, you're probably gonna get like 2 presents at the most, but he always made it work. And it was just amazing to see him be resilient and still be the caring, loving father that he is, because when the hardship arises, it's hard to keep that demeanor of, yo, like, this is my son, I gotta make sure he's cool, and my sister, I gotta make sure they're all good. because he could easily just distance himself from the family, but he was there for the whole thing and present. So when he started his nonprofit, I was working with El Rio Health with their youth group called RAP, Reproductive Health Access Project, and it was peer-to-peer led, talking about sexual health and how to have safe sex, birth control methods, all that good stuff. And I was a peer mentor, and I was able to present to these youth, and they were able to get on-spot treatment from these nurse practitioners that did all the birth control methods that they could get. So it was dope being a part of that, and I was like, I love that work. I love being able to talk to youth about that, and it's hard as a male to fit into that because a lot of women don't feel comfortable talking about sex with a man. So they use me as the male point, so I could talk to the males about, let's talk about consent. Because a lot of people overlook it, and it's like, nah, this is something we need to talk about because it's not a woman problem, it's a male problem.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So let's make that clear for anybody. And then we just talk about, how to put on a condom correctly. Let's make sure y'all know what a condom does, how it looks like, what it is, all that good stuff. So being able to do that was awesome. And then my dad, like I said, growing up, we talked about substance use, misuse. We talked about teen pregnancy, delinquency, all that good stuff. And he was able to bring me on board just this past month onto his nonprofit side and be a community development specialist and really be out there in the community talking about substance use, misuse, and if, using harm reduction. We talk about Narcan, having that on you. A lot of people don't like having that on them because they think, but there's a good Samaritan law and ways to figure it out, but save a life, you know what I mean? Fentanyl is a real problem on the south side. Opioids epidemic happening out here in our backyard, and people don't want to talk about it because it's not attractive, it's not sexy, it's really degrading. But we need to talk about it, and we need to have resources in place so people can feel safe. And with that, it's also the mental health aspect of everything. I've been an advocate for mental health for a while, not publicly, but really talking to my friends and family of, how you really doing? And that's something my pops taught me, and he always used to get on me like, okay, don't tell me good bullshit. Yeah. Don't tell me like you good.
Because we're autopilot, we're just like, I do it at work still to this day. Just like they're like, hey, how are you? I'm good. Keep going. Keep it going.
Exactly.
So yeah, I totally understand that.
So it's about prying in and really, how do you feel? And recently we were talking behind the scenes just about a lot of changes that have been happening. You told me about some changes in your life that's been happening, and mine as well. And it's just like, how do you handle change? And do you want to talk about it? Are you want to close off and distance yourself from it and not accept it? And it's a real problem, and we talk about it. This is the Juneteenth interview, so we talk about it with the Black communities.
And how are we navigating through these? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
How are we navigating through these systems? And and that's why I wanted to tie this into this. Now, let's see. I know you worked with your father. He's been a huge influencer. So how sometimes parents can be like, hey, do it my way, do it like this, whatever. Do you feel free? Do your father make you feel free in what you do, or are you just kind of piggybacking off of his stuff, or how are you doing that?
Exactly, that's a great question. I would love to say, my dad's open-minded and of course, but of course he got his dad's tendencies. You know what I'm saying? He got his dad's tendencies. So it's like when I told him I wanted to drop out, he's like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Because he's like, it's going to be harder as a Black man to make it in without a degree. It's going to be harder for you to get opportunities. I was like, you know how easy it is for me to network? Knowing my personality, it's like, you should know that it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's like, I be out here in these streets talking to people. I don't care who you are, you know what I mean? So he was more worried about that. So it was like going against the norm, because my mom is decorated scholar as well. She's going to school for a PhD as a Latinx woman, and doing that and going through her story is amazing too. Just being in poverty and being able to be the only person in her family to graduate college and to go get her PhD and have a good paying job. It's amazing. And it's like, I have all these role models that are high up there, and then for me to be like, all right, I'm not going to college. I'm gonna go ahead and see what this life is about, try to make it on my own, because it's easy for me, like you said, to piggyback off what they're doing, but it's like, I don't want that to be my story. I want it to be my story. So yeah, I love being able to help my dad with his nonprofit, but now it's about getting my stuff started with Takeover Media, Takeover Lounge, and he's been supportive of that recently because he saw that I've been getting real.
Okay. All right, and then the last thing I'm gonna wrap it up with is, tell the people, like, you know, what you want, what's your goal of what you do,
Okay.
and like what message do you hope that people can see, or what they can gain from watching your stuff?
Yeah. So my whole purpose is really just to help people, and I love helping others. We talked about this also behind the scenes, where I stopped wanting to get in front of the camera and do all the stuff that I was doing, and really just work on the back end and getting people opportunities to be in front of the camera that normally wouldn't want to be in front of the camera, and making them feel uncomfortable so they can grow. So I really want people to feel like there's value in any content that you watch with me, even if it's me being funny. I mean, there's always something underlying in there, the reason why I did that. I want people to feel like it's approachable, that anybody can approach me, anybody can approach anybody on my team. Like, we're always here to help. We're always here to, if we can't help you, we know people that can help you. So that's coming even from a mental health and preventionist standpoint,
Yeah.
but also as far as music and creatives go. I mean, the network is crazy here. I mean, I see like Terrell back here, I got Cruz back here, I got Ayana back here, like crazy people, Chris over here doing the soundboard, like resources, man. It's all about that, and just helping people put people in place to do great things. And that's what I really want to help people do, really be that connector and give them the platform to showcase what they can.
Absolutely. I wish you the best. Keep doing your thing. Thanks for being here.
Of course,
awesome.
You killed it.
It was amazing talking to you, and learning about you, and I would love to learn more.
Let's do it. Let's stay in touch.
Next up, amazing performance by Lotus. You don't want to miss.
I used to, oh, baby, I'm water. You need me to grow. I tide in the ocean, in the rivers I flow. Baby, I'm water, so hard to contain, but without me you'd find it hard to sustain. Baby, I'm water, I'm all that you need. I'll make you a tree from a seed. Baby, I'm water, just go with the flow. Dive into me and just let go. Baby, I'm water. I become the cup, I become the bowl. I am H2O. Baby, I'm
propagate. Loving me is the difference between streams and hurricanes. I'll love you like for all time, and I'll make sure that I blow your mind. I become the cup, I become the bowl. I lay it to I become the cup, I become the bowl. I made I'm water. I become the cup, I become the bowl. I'm everything you need me to be, and so much more, so much more, so much more. Baby, I'm water. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, baby, meet me under the stars and we can fly. Would you prefer Jupiter or Mars? Let's go. Let's go. Hey, baby, in your arms I'll stay as we sway, dancing on the Milky Way. Let's go. Let's go. And I know we can get there if we try. You're my natural high. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, hey. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, baby, there's things I love to show ya. Open your eyes, love me like a supernova. Let's go. Let's go. And I know we can get there if we try. You're my natural high. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Daughter of Venus, hot like Mercury, flow like the waters of Earth. He want the honey like a worker bee. Nothing like my ex, cause you know that he was stupider. Know he came from Jupiter, that's the reason I fool with ya. But I ain't here for the chat, I'm swinging my hips as if they bear the rings of Saturn. And you can tell them new hoes that with me they non-existent, call them Pluto. I just wanna get next to you, be the icy blue king of my ocean, call you Neptune. Superstar and you're supercharged, everything about my baby down to Mars. I can hear your divinity calling me, feel that telescope while you grabbing on my astronomy. Hey, and that sounds sex appeal. Look in the stars and tell me that this is real. Hey, baby, this is more than a situation. You are mine, I read it in the constellations. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, baby, let me be a fantasy. Take my hand, we'll go up into the galaxy. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And I know can get there if we tried. You're my natural highlights. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah.
Next up is Nick Arcade, founder of Black Broccoli, interviewed by Morgan Turner.
My name is Morgan, and I'm here with
Nick Arcade, the owner of Black Broccoli here in Tucson.
Black Broccoli here in Tucson. All right, tell us a little more about Black Broccoli.
So Black Broccoli is a vintage-based apparel boutique here in Tucson. I specialize in reworking vintage clothing, putting my own spin on it, and I also have like the house brand clothing, which is anything you see with the Black Broccoli logo or text on it.
Okay. And you're located where?
I'm at 418 East 7th Street, right downtown.
Nice. And okay, so how did you get started up with Black Broccoli?
The process really started right before I moved here, around 5 years ago. I started just kind of working on things for myself, altering clothing. I've been collecting and reselling for a long time online, probably like 10 years or so. But before I moved here, I decided that I wanted to brand it and make it something that I could do as mostly like a side hustle. And then when I moved here and I started doing local pop-up events and just kind of getting my name out there in the community, it started to snowball, and it started to look like it could be something that I could do as my main source of income.
So do you feel like you were kind of like testing it out then? You were like, let me do a pop-up?
Yeah, no, I didn't, I mean, my background is, I went to school for communication, so my thought process was I was gonna go work on a set somewhere behind the camera. That was where my head was at. But once I started really delving into clothing, I found that I was passionate about it, because I've always been passionate about clothing and just style in general. But it wasn't something I saw myself doing until I really started to go down that path.
Okay. So what inspired you? Like, who were the influencers to get you going with Black Broccoli?
As far as like, I'm sorry, I want to clarify. As far as like artistically or just like with the clothing?
Both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah.
For the clothing, I would say artistically I'm inspired by film, television, music. I draw a lot from my childhood and my family. But as far as what really pushed me was a conversation I actually had with my father. And he was telling me about when he was growing up. He grew up in Chicago. But he was telling me about how he would just make his own stuff. Like he would make his own hats just from scratch. And it sparked the idea in my head. It's like, why can't I? You know. So I took out my parents' old sewing kit, which was in one of those the butter cookie cans, which I'm sure everybody has in their crib. But I just took out the sewing kit and just started taking stuff apart and kind of like Frankensteining things together, and just found that I really had a passion for it.
What have you like read lately or listened to that inspires you or keeps you going?
So I find that the music that I'm listening to always sparks ideas. It could be like the smallest lyric, but I've been listening to a lot of Parliament Funkadelic and Bootsy Collins and James Brown. I tend to like go through phases where I'll listen to a lot of like 70s soul music, or then I'll jump to like 90s hip hop, like a lot of Tribe and De La Soul, Pharcyde, Souls of Mischief, all that kind of stuff. And it puts me in like different places creatively. So it's always a fun journey for me when one of those ideas kind of pops in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of Parliament and Bootsy Collins. That's what I've been drawing from a lot lately.
Yeah, so that inspires your work. That gets you going as far as like making the designs and stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean I always have someone on in the background, whether it's music or a lot of times I'll just watch movies with the sound off.
Okay. And so you said you're not from here. So where are you from?
I grew up in the Chicago area, like an hour outside of Chicago, a small town called DeKalb, Illinois. Yeah, it's nothing but cornfields and water towers. It's a college town.
Mm-hmm. And were you doing some of your stuff out there too, or you brought it, or you more so focused on it when you moved here?
I started when I was out there, but I wasn't really doing events or anything. It was just like me working quietly and keeping it to myself, which is kind of like a big pattern for me. Before I'll present anything to anybody publicly, I'll work on it for a long time privately.
And does that, so with that process, does that then, like when you introduce it to someone, or I don't know how you do it, if it's a close friend or family, or how do you when you introduce it to someone and they give you feedback, how do you like take that? Is that like I've been working on this for so long and now I put this out here, like that hurts me if you say this, whatever, like how does your process work for you like that?
See, at this point, there's not really too many people I run things by. At this point, like it took me a while to get here, where I can block out the doubt and the questions. You know, that little voice that kind of creeps in and tells you something's not good enough. That's been one of my biggest hurdles from the beginning is blocking that out. And right now I'm at a point where I feel really confident about the things I'm doing. So if I spend the time on it, odds are I'm confident on it with it. And when it's done, I'll just put it out, or I'll keep it for myself, which I have a tendency to do. But yeah, that's
okay. All right. And so of course with TikTok being huge and stuff now, would you say that TikTok has had an influence on your stuff? Like,
I honestly don't pay attention to TikTok. I don't have one. I know that makes me sound old, but
no, I actually don't. I don't have a TikTok either, but I see. I have Instagram. You know, like they have the reels, reels and stuff. So like sometimes people bring the TikTok reels over to whatever. Of course. So, and I know there's like some people who will use that. Like, okay, TikTok, like do the short little clips or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I was wondering if that had an impact on your stuff. So
it's something. It's something I've thought about doing, but also I just get so caught up in like the actual work aspect of it that sometimes I forget to promote. Like sometimes I forget to pay attention to what's trending or what people are doing.
Yeah, I understand. So you have a good group of team, you would say? Like you have a good crew that can do that piece of it, like focus on that part of it, the promo part, or
I wish I did.
You just kind of do it yourself, like.
I wish I had a team, but really everything is me. Like all the photography and video aspect of it, you see is me, and then all the production work I take care of. Eventually, like in the next year, I would love to like bring some people in that I trust, but also like relinquishing the control of something you built and spent a lot of time on is always difficult.
That's
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand that.
Exactly. So it's something I've nurtured and worked on for a long time. So it'll be hard, but I think as far as being efficient and effective, it's something I'm gonna have to look at.
Something you wish you would have known.
Okay, something I wish I would have known is how much work it's actually gonna take to get the ball rolling and move the needle on what you're doing. And especially with nowadays, people being obsessed with instant gratification and comparing their successes to others, I think that it's easy to think that you can do what someone else does because you can see it. Like you can see it every day. Like, oh, if I do this, this, and this, then I could be this person.
But you haven't seen the process of it.
Exactly.
You just seen that this is the end. This is how
you get highlights and little clips, and you don't see the work. And I think I try to be transparent with people when they come in and ask me questions about starting a clothing brand, or what do I have to do this, or I'm like, I mean, a lot of it is just starting, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of things that people don't see when they go to my page. Like, there's a lot of work that I take home, but I don't constantly post that. It's like, it's just work. So I think that would be one of the things that I would tell myself a few years back. Like, whatever the amount of work you think you're gonna have to put in, double it, triple it, it's gonna be a lot.
Stay on the path.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want us to pause right now?
No, you're good.
Okay. All right. So then we'll go to the next question. So, with Juneteenth, and it being about freedom, do you feel that you are free in your art? Do you feel that your art sets you free, like when you're creating, or in the moment, or when you're putting it out there? Like, do you feel free in your work?
I think I go back and forth, but I think that being that idea of wanting to be an artist is something that I've always had in the back of my mind, and I think that listening to other people a lot of times got me off that path, and I think once I really fully committed, then that's when I started to feel that freedom, because it was like I can do what I want. Like, I really can do whatever it is I feel like. I get to wake up every day and go put the keys in the door of a shop that's mine, and I just get to make things. Like, if you would have told me 5 years ago that's what I would be doing, I would be like, you're tripping.
Right.
But honestly, like, that having that freedom is something that I wish everybody could experience, because you start to look at the world differently. Your perspective is transforms when you're not trying to necessarily chase somebody else's standards or somebody else's expectations. I think, especially with being here, and I love it here, but one of the things is that a lot of times, especially with clothing, like, they're expecting a certain thing. With me not being from here, like, my inspirations and they're different.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I have a completely different perspective. But
that's what you add at the same time too.
Exactly.
It's like, that's what you add here. So it's like, you bringing that Chicago style, or right?
yeah, no, you're 100% correct.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry, did you want to elaborate more?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
I was gonna say, and with that being said, like, does your art tie into any, like, social? Does it touch on political stuff at all? Does it not? Do you try to stay away from that, or?
It's not something that I steer clear of. I think it's impossible. I think as just being black, it's impossible to not pay attention. It's impossible for it as an artist to not have it woven into your work. I think all of the influences that I have and the people that inspire me also, have those things woven into their work. It's not always obvious, but that's one of the things that I strive for with Black Broccoli, is like, I don't want it just to be a store full of stuff that's worth money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be just a vintage resale shop with a bunch of stuff. It's a celebration for me. It's a celebration of my influences. It's a celebration of my culture. Like, and I hope people get that when they walk in. there's a lot of people that do. They instantly feel it. Like, you walk in the door and, you know, I have records lining the display case. And that goes back to my childhood, because my pops had records lining the walls of the basement. It's like everything ties into me and where I come from and how I was raised. So I think it's impossible for all those things, excuse me, all those things not to be woven.
How did you come up with the name Black Broccoli?
Honestly, it was something I was using for something else. It was originally a media company that I was doing, like graphic design. But for me, it sounded more like clothing. And I didn't know why. And I didn't have a logo that I liked yet. So I just put it in my back pocket, which is what I do with a lot of ideas. I'll just save it for later. And then when it really hits me, then I could just go crazy with it. But I was originally going by the Thrift Advocate when I first got here. And although I was able to build a following with that name, it just didn't sound like a store. Like people are gonna assume it's a thrift store, Thrift Advocate. But with Black Broccoli, I feel like people don't really know what to expect. Like, people come in asking me for food sometimes. Like, oh, you have those jalapeno? I'm like, you see that there's clothes in here. Like, this is a clothing store. But at the same time, like, I still enjoy that. But people don't know what to expect coming in. So I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. That was perfect. Thank you. So thank you for being here and just talking with me. And it was a pleasure interviewing you. And I guess one thing I want to leave off, like, what would you say to people that, like, maybe want to do the same things that you're doing? Maybe, like, the younger people or people, you know, even older. You can get inspired at any age, you know what I mean? So, like, what would you say to people who are trying to do the same thing that you're trying to, like, that you're doing, your art, and getting started?
Just make sure that you're always coming from your own perspective. Because like I said before, I think it's easy to want to pattern yourself after other people, and I can't say that I didn't. Like, when you first start, I feel like you're gonna copy your influences until you can find your own style, which I think is natural in art in general. But I think once you hit a certain point, you have to make sure that you have a clear perspective that is your own, and just speak from there and speak from the heart. I think that's the best advice that I can give you.
I love that. Authenticity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Loaded question. Because I want to, like, the first thing that jumps into my mind is I want to say freedom, but with everything that's going on, and like we kind of talked about, it's like, are we really free? It's tough, but it does, you know, it's free. There you go, free-ish, you know. But I think about the fact that I wasn't taught about Juneteenth in school, and I feel like lied to. I feel, you know, misled. Luckily, I had great teachers outside of school, like my parents and church to a certain degree. But it makes me think of freedom, but it also makes me think of all of the times I was lied to throughout my entire education, and it's a little infuriating, but I say it means freedom to me. Yeah. And
I want you to show them the bling bling and put it to the camera, like let them see. It's nice. I like that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm Morgan here, and today I'm interviewing
Brian Becken.
Brian Becken. Free bake on Instagram.
Yeah, free bake. It's because free bacon, but they couldn't have that, so now let's go with free bake.
Okay, yeah, that's why I'm like free bake because it's BAC. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so who is Brian?
Who's Brian?
What is free bake? What?
Short answer, I'm an artist. I do graphic design. I do fashion. That's about it.
Yeah. No, you're.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess the long answer is the idea of who I think I am. I would say it's an abstract concept. The reason being is because I think I continuously change and adapt. So I can be an artist one day, or I can be a fashion designer this day, or a model this day, or even going far as saying like I'm a son, and in the future I'm gonna be a father.
Yeah.
And so who I am is just constantly changing. So it's tough for me to pinpoint exactly who I am.
Exactly. No, I think that's important. Like that's huge that you hit on that, because we are constantly evolving as humans. What inspires you? What helps you figure out who you are? Like what type of things that do you like to indulge in that helps your creative process and flow?
Okay. Things that help me figure out who I would say it's a lot have to do with anime, because a lot of who I am stems from anime, regarding like my morals, my philosophy, and just how I go about making my art. My art is heavily influenced by anime, and I just try to incorporate that into what I believe, which would be my philosophy and my bunch of different ideas.
Okay, huge anime. So like, what about anime that like?
Well, the reason I love anime is because it's really cool watching the action scenes and stuff like that, but more so just the story behind it, and then their philosophy in it. There's I think one of my favorite animes is Full Metal Alchemist. And so the reason I love this so much is because it completely deconstructed my idea of like religion. I got stripped away from that. Yeah, I was this Christian and everything. Now I'm agnostic because of this anime, because how the ideas they had in it was so amazing.
It really connected with you?
Yeah, really connected to me. It was quite phenomenal, or not phenomenal, but just amazing that this show can have so much emotion, so much thought through it. And so I take that amount of thoughtfulness into my art, into making it not just you'll see this speech and you're just like, oh, that's dope. But if you read into it, there's so much more meaning to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I love your stuff. Like, you know, you posting your different pieces and artwork, and tell them where they can see you. I just seen your art at Wowza.
Oh, Wowza, yeah. World of Wonders, World of Wonders, Tucson Mall. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So the piece I have up there, it's called Identities Crisis, and so I have this feeling. So it was actually, I drew it based off a feeling I had so I used to play football. And so after I stopped doing that, I had this whole identity crisis, like who I am. If I'm not Brian, the football player, then who am I then? And so from there, so the piece means that it's like I explained earlier, that having labels to describe us is, I think it is meaningful, and I think it's important to have labels to describe us so we can be able to connect with other people and be able to get into groups. So like a high school kid that doesn't know who he is, if he can identify as an artist, now he can find his artist friends. But then again, I'm also on the side of that, having labels to describe us only limits who we can become. And so I use them, but more so I'm just like, anything and everything that I can become.
Yeah, I like that. And with that, let's tie that into Juneteenth. So like, what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Juneteenth means to me, I want to say it means change.
Change.
But I think it more so means potential for change. I mean, yeah, we've changed some, but it's still not entirely, I guess we're not entirely free. So I don't want to say automatically that it means freedom, but a potential for change. Like seeing that means that we can make progress into a new age where we can be truly free and have equality.
Yes. And with that being said, are you free in your work? Do you feel free in your work? Like, does your drawings, like, does that allow you to be free, or are you doing it kind of like a, do you feel pressured to like put it out because of, are there any social influences, or are you just completely free in what you do?
That's a tough answer, because that to me goes down to my ideas behind like free will or determinism, whether we're determined through our life to do the exact thing that we did a couple seconds ago, or are we more free to make decisions in our life? Are we autonomous beings or not? And so to answer that question, I would say I think that because our 95% of our life is through habit, so it's completely in our subconscious mind that we do it without thinking about it. I want to say yes, I'm free. No, I'm not free, but to keep it short, I would say I think I am free expressing my art. I think that I think my art brings me freedom, because I can express myself how I want to, the way I want to, without anyone telling me that you can't do this, you can't do that. And if they do, I'm not gonna listen to them.
Yeah. So I guess I'll wrap it up with well, let me ask you this. Are you from Tucson?
Not originally. St. Louis, Missouri.
Missouri.
And then basically I'm from it. It sounds cool when I say that.
Okay. So you started most of your stuff out here, Tucson?
Yes. So I came to Tucson when I was in elementary school, so basically from here. But yeah. And so I left for college to play football. Southern Utah University for a year, and then from there, that's when I had my identity crisis and realized that I was conforming to what everyone else was doing by playing football, not doing art. And so I started pursuing it heavily once I moved back, because I was like, I really enjoy this. Like, I've been doing it since I was little, and it brings me joy, it brings me happiness. I won't say happiness, but it brings me meaning.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. That's dope. What would you say, like, what's a tip that you would give to artists such as yourself, like, who are trying to do the same thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would you give them as a piece of advice, or something that you wish someone told you?
Let's see, let's leave them with a gem. I want to say, just go out and do it. Don't feel constrained behind doing what everyone else wants you to do. Don't feel confined and conform to the mass majority of people. Be yourself. Be an individual, and by doing that, you can actually find yourself, find who you are by staying true to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you're being true to yourself, the audience will be there, because
Mm-hmm.
they're loving what you're natural. They're loving your authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they will. Yeah. You'll have moments where like people that don't mess with whatever the art you're doing will eventually fall off. But that only means that you're going to gain people who truly enjoy your art, and those are the people that you want around you.
What are the obstacles do you feel like you encounter as being like a Black artist in Tucson at that?
Tucson at that. Truthfully, I guess I can only speak for myself, but I feel like I'm not confined by anything because I'm Black. I think that because I am, or maybe I haven't yet encountered a moment where I felt that I was restricted because I'm a Black artist. And I hope I learn a lot when that day happens, but I also hope that day never happens where someone's restricting me for being Black. And that's yeah.
Yeah, you want to expand a little more? Or
say the question again so I can reel it back in with.
Yeah, I just was wondering, like, if you had any, like, challenges. I mean, even when you speak on your identity pieces and stuff, and going through the identity crisis and stuff, like, does that impact? Does being just being Black artists, like how does that impact you in certain spaces, or does it?
Yeah, I'll say it doesn't at all. Yeah. That's all I can say. Not really. That's really.
Okay. All right. Well, it was so dope interviewing you.
No, it was like appreciate it.
And tell them again where they can find you on social media.
You can find me at Freebac, FREEBAC, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah.
Thank you.
Next, we have the video Earthen Energies by Sashi. Check it out.
I see elders in the trees. The earth is always watching. 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 I am the elder from whom I seek counsel. I am the guardian of my younger selves. I am the feet that touches the ground, pulsing the breath of my descendants. I am the lighthouse of my lineage, stationed in the room space of creation, breathing from my feet. I'm not scared of the darker corners of my galaxy, for woven in their essence is treasure, waiting for the light of my gaze, my presence. I am mutable with the seasons. I am my own reason. My arms offer experience to the universe. Branching through my feet. My roots reach deep into the layers of the earth. Warm, golden honey. Have you ever embodied the color? Look up, look up, look up. Look up, look up, look up. Look up, look up. I see elders in the trees. I see elders in the trees. I see elders in the trees. Look up, look up, look up, look up. You are the question, you are the answer. I see elders in the trees. You are the question, you are the answer. Go within the self-sustaining divine creation. Go within the self-sustaining divine creation. Self-sustaining divine creation.
Many of us desire to have that special kind of friendship. And if you're lucky enough to have it, cherish it, value it. Be that special friend for them. Either let it flow or let it go. Yo, I don't keep many around me. I like my own company, that's where you just might found me. Yeah, that lone she-wolf, my best friend. I turn myself up in the club like, oh, best friend. Gotta pour into myself, gotta get out this love, fill my cup like nobody else. Yeah, That self-love is the realest, like the itis after a home-cooked meal. Lay back and feel this. You is loyal, you is kind. Go best friend, you one of a kind. You so special, you so fine. No ownership, I don't need to make you mine. Hold me down at the drop of a dime. It don't matter, cause today I got time. The kind of love to make you stop, let's rewind. A special friend, well, that's hard to find. Now we ain't heard from each other for about a minute now. But if it's real when we pick up, don't skip a beat. Why you ask? Cause when two people are grown, we don't guilt trip each other for building a life of our own. We show support and we give more than likes. We clap the loudest for our friends and celebrate their wins. When we check in, the intention is only genuine. We shift, we bend, my brethren and my sisterin. You is loyal, you is kind. Go best friend, you one of a kind. You so special, you so fine. No ownership, I don't need to make you mine. Hold me down at the drop of a dime. It don't matter, cause today I got time. The kind of love to make you stop, let's rewind. A special friend, well, that's hard to find. Ella May said that you got her blued up. I'm running from the bullshit, gotta lace my shoes up. Ooh, bruh, you say you wanna be my special friend. Well, can you be transparent? Can you not be problematic then? A special friend is someone I can be aligned with, trying to heal themselves, someone I can share my mind with. Maybe roll a flower, do some yoga after hours, and admire all the beauty in this melanated power. You is loyal, you is kind. Go best friend, you one of a kind. You so special, you so fine. No ownership, I don't need to make you mine. Hold me down at the drop of a dime. It don't matter, cause today I got time. The kind of love to make you stop, let's rewind. A special friend, well, that's hard to find. Hard to find. Yeah. A special friend, well, that's hard to find. Cause today I got time. Percy Wells on the track. Like that.
Next up, we have some powerful poetry by Mr. Larry Moore. Listen up.
I dreamt of Harlem the other night. I dreamt of stars and I dreamt of Harlem. I dreamt Harlem in a sorrowful blue tinted tone of a hue because that's where black poets were allowed to write free, and that's what I am. I am a black poet. It happens to be who I am, in fact. I am Harlem in my heart. A haunting blue shade of a Harlem note, I am sullen sapphire for the lack of black trumpet hoots and black thumping boots from my brothers in the streets for their love for living. No little girls ever ballet to James Moody's mood anymore. No horn players ever come around the way to James Moody's mood anymore, but if they just could open up their hearts, give devotion to the second note, the third measure, then maybe we could live free. As poets could live free, the meter itself could live free, and then maybe more mothers would want to march again and more fathers would come home. That's why I dream Harlem. That's why I cry Harlem, why I lament Harlem. In a sorrowful blue tinted tone of a hue. I cry for you, dear Harlem. I weep. Today you are here to get it, get free, get it, get free, get live, get sick and kick hope, son. You transfuse the scope of this dope, son, you get some. Inch across this stage to find your sure fit. You open up your mouth and you pour out your poet because they cannot take this. This is yours. The chairs, they're yours. The curtains, it's yours. The stage, it's yours. As far as your mind can fathom, man, that's your stuff too. So if you choose to set the roof to roaring with hot molten metaphors, I'll manage the damage and the aftershock because you need this. You need to bleed your gifts. Let the tidal flow from the rift, flip, light switch for positive, bottle the negative, cork it, and dispose of it. You open up your heart, and you pull out your poet. Maybe we could transpose it, take it up the octave and hold it, bring it down a third and unfold it. Since you have chosen to be spoken, silence is never golden. Said, word said, phrase catch, fireflies crushing, mold them, follow this poetry star they are beholding. Big dip dopeness, you choke myths of inferior tectonic shifts, you quake-ish. Break hips to reform double jointed so they can flex those small minds of theirs. Make big picture fit. You've got big agendas, kid. Not the least of which is to build monuments for the hopeless. You open up your soul. You pull out your poet. And eventually, it will begin to sink in through the layers of sediment and into the roots of their food. The bonds of their groundwater, too. I want you to try and recontaminate what this system has worked so hard to pollute so you can produce a recycled psyche for the youth to cultivate and reuse. I want you to abuse these airwaves. You vibrate the history page of an author's book so that you can bring about a change from the motivated greats. You were so young, so fresh, you're so educated. Open up your mouth, show these people why you should be venerated. If you've got something to say, well, you should probably say something. Come and hold me, baby. I just want your touch. Would like to be the only one you're holding. Chat. I just want your touch. If you move me, I need it so much, just come and hold me, baby. I use her love like a hella perfect pair of headphones. The tone prone to a reminiscent mezzo forte heartbeat percussed from rib, a perpetual hymn of praise. If you meditate on the feelings, sending half-note jitters to romance my intestines to turning butterfly fluttering 30-second notes afloat without settle. I'm a wide-open, hopeless mess of percussion ad-libs, fighting against a lead that keeps countering motifs which leaves the padded conclaves of my fingertips to pray nightly on the rigid altars of guitar strings, pleading for chord resolution. The comforting sound of the hook peeking around the well-traveled frame of the bridge because I placed my lips there before. Come and hold me, baby. I just want your touch. Would like to be the only one you're holding. I just want your touch. If you move me, I need it so much. Put the accent on the touch. You crescendo through to touch. You dance during the touch and then touch away the tears. To a honey-dripped rhythm wrapped in a composition of proximity to vibration, baby, we've always been instrumental. Fleeting physicality fresh planted under a 5/4 times so languid. Only you and I know where the downbeats are hidden in the staff's let's dig freestyles from the confined curvature of the clefs. Jazz chocolate solos into finely tuned kisses, leave finely tuned wishes sashay across a rictus of sky-streaked whole notes so that every time we hear music, our dreams come true. We'll never wake up. We'll lose ourselves in the movements of the moments while always refusing to dip at a respectable distance when the music is through. Over and over and over again, I will find myself inside of you. Me sitting cross-legged at the bottom of your guitar case heart. Just waiting for you to come and play me, baby. Waiting for you to come and sway me. I can hear the jazz in your mornings. There are no speakers in your kitchen or any cymbals beside your toothbrushes. But while you water your basil, a towel tucked neatly between brown breasts, I see Coltrane in them ankles, mama. An ad-lib of heritage. Magnificent black women, elders tapping their toes in your melanin. Love supreme, your hips say, love supreme, your hips say. And I use that stage like a quiet. Watch you perform and I applaud with my lips, your cheeks taking bows, the melody tacit, the morning always swinging. I can see Coltrane in the ankles, mama. All I ever wanted to do was be a black poet, because all I ever actually wanted to be was free. And my father told me, well, son, when it gets to a point where you can hold it, then you can stop being revolutionary. And I told him, Daddy, then I'll write into eternity. I wrap the curves of infinity around the neck of conformity with my words as the ionic bonds that connect the spices of life in the melodies, abundant through ear canals, vibrating to root canals for jaw-shattering truths, not for sale signs in the fine print, and they'll never know what hit them, ha ha ha. Quick ones to the mind to refine the design and decline the comment, because our roots run deep. And if they can't seem to make the roots seep to the soil underneath, then we'll bust through the sheets of concrete. We are doped demolition, fresh flow daily. Revision to transition, capillaries carry wisdom in them, and then my blood flows left to right. This poetry on a sideways lean that reads heavyweight. Irrigate the seed in your ear to motivate your dreams to sink dirt deep, where I can feed you syllabic nutrients until the acoustic cavities of your ribcage leaks. A minors, every time your lips part to speak. If you rise to your feet, hands together, I'll always seize the occasion. Give you vitamin D flow, moon glow reciprocity. You can follow me because I be here to burn this thing to the ground and show you the true way with the smoke signal, so let's go. Our roots run deep. I wanted to say a little bit right before this last piece, and just comment that with all these things going on, all of these negative things, and it's crazy that when we say things, like, you don't even have to elaborate. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So easy to get mired in the negativity, but at the end of the day, right, we are literally made from the same stuff that stardust is. So never forget just how beautiful and just how strong you are. This last piece, thank you. If they are hearing this, well, you've already faded into the distance. What we have here is nothing more than your affirmation. In the beginning, there was a pervasion of the word, and you were implicit in the verb. A scribbled charcoal insurrection of God particle. Upheaval of deity and miracle, meaning you have divinity affixed to your double helix. You are a universe remixed to empirical flesh of stardust. You have diamonds in your veins. You're carbon atomic. A systematic catastrophe of a catalyst. You are black magic bottled on an easy rhetoric of daydreams. You are a jazz theme, corner of God's breast pocket. His heart throbbing. You are unfuckwitableness mixed with amazing. If they are hearing this, well, you have already faded away. You're ashes to ashes. That dust to stars, you are solar flare. You are surface of sun. A revolution by definition every morning. And what we have here, well, it's nothing more than your affirmation. Peace. Mr. Larimore.
Thank you so much for watching the Tucson Juneteenth 50th Anniversary Evening Edition, hosted by Black Renaissance. Thank you.